All right. So this video is a instructional video regarding to the VTOL platform used in the Coding for Drones class. And this is for spring of 2024. At least at the time of making this video, that's what the class is going to be held. Perhaps it'll be held at other times in the future as well. So this video is going to be part in a series or a playlist of videos on how to assemble your VTOL aircraft. This aircraft was designed by Kevin Plaisir, and he's cut it out, and we've got the pieces going and stuff, and so I'm helping to make a video here. This is Duke recording the video. So I have most of the pieces here. I can't fit them all on screen, so I'll kind of show them bit by bit. Unfortunately, I can't get my camera much higher than this to show everything off. But what I'm going to go through is a bit of the assembly of the aircraft in terms of the physical, non-electronic part, we'll say. Cutting a piece of foam out over here for my hot glue gun. Drip all over the table. Um, and so what you'll see is all the pieces we need to use as well as how things go together. So the end result of the aircraft will look something kind of like this. This is the V1 I'm going to show you here, but it will be similar to how the V2 will look. Okay, we have our twin wing aircraft. Okay, we have control surfaces on both wings, a vertical stabilizer, and then a kind of a fuselage or body, and inside here is where the electronics will go. So that's what we're shooting towards. And we have a few modifications for this version that you wouldn't have seen in that first version. Okay, so here I have the smaller pieces up here first. These X-type truss pieces, you should have 3 of these, as well as 4 square carbon fiber rods. So if we look at this, if you'll be able to see on the camera very well, but it's a square tube, if that makes sense. And I'm not going to be able to see it very well. But it's a square tube, which is different from some other carbon rods that you'll have which are flat. Okay, we'll have 4 of these flat ones and 4 of these square ones. So if we compare the 2 of these, one's much longer. This is the flat one on the right hand side. It's much longer. Of course, it's flat. It's not a square. And then these square ones are used for a different purpose. So just make sure you have 4 of the square ones. And that'll going to go with these 3 3D printed truss pieces here. Okay, so we have those. We have our winglets of 2 different sizes. Okay, so 2 of each of those. We have a vertical stabilizer, just 1 of those. We have a nose cone type section. Okay, so there's a rectangular piece. I've already started peeling this out a little bit. But here's this cone-shaped part of the nose. Okay. And then you'll have a couple other pieces of foam. Let me get that on screen here. So you have 2 wings, 1 large and 1 small. Okay. We'll have the fuselage body piece, which looks kind of like this. Okay. And then we'll have these flat carbon pieces like I mentioned earlier. We'll have 4 of these. I only have 2 right now in the video. Unfortunately, I'm waiting for some more to come in. But you'll have 4 of these long flat pieces and 4 of the square carbon pieces as well. Okay. That should do it for the physical structure of the aircraft. Okay, of course, we'll add motors and all the other stuff. I'll have another video that kind of highlights those more. But you'll get all these pieces, and they may or may not be punched out of a sheet of foam board already. If they aren't, then of course you punch them out, and you get all the pieces ready to go. The winglets we won't need till later, nor the tail. Okay, and we'll save the nose for later as well. Let's focus on some of the wing pieces here, and those parts that we're going to want to be dealing with. Okay. So I'm going to show you on the smaller wing. The process is going to be very similar on the larger wing. They're not identical, but they're very close. One of the first things we want to do with these wings is to prep them for folding. Okay, so there are these 4 squares here, and there's lines along the wing. Let me zoom in a little bit so we can see those a little bit better. Okay, so there is a large line that goes from top all the way to the bottom, and that's where the wing's going to actually get folded over. Okay, to help it kind of loosen up the foam, and then we'll actually end up folding it back the other way. But there are some shorter lines here, okay, and here. Those are for the ailerons, so we can just snap those open right now if we want to. Okay. And then there are some lines that go nearly the full length of the wing, but they don't seem to correspond with any control surface or anything like that. There's one here and one here. Okay, those lines are actually for those flat carbon spars. And to put these squares off to the side here and off screen. And these are going to help stiffen the wing. So you can see they're very flexible in one direction, but in the other direction, okay, they're very stiff and they're very lightweight. And so these carbon spars will end up going into the wing in those cutouts that don't really correspond to a control surface or leading edge of the wing. So one here and one here. All right. So what we want to do with the folds that we have on these wings, on the small wing and the big wing in general, is this front part here, we'll snap it open like I did here, so it flexes open. Okay. And then we're going to take a marker or some kind of, like, I guess, pointy but dull instrument, if that makes sense. It could really be anything, but something relatively round would be good. I'm going to use this glue stick actually right now because I forgot to grab my Sharpie marker. Okay, we're just going to kind of press down, okay, with whatever you're using, a pen, whatever it might be. I'm going to press down into the foam to try to start creasing it right along where we broke it. Okay, once we get that initial crease going, it's a little bit easier to do the other creases. Okay, and you can kind of see that it starts to crease. Let's see. So right in here. Okay, I'm just kind of crushing the foam down right there. All right, I'm going to try another tool here to see if I can get a better crease. Give me just a second. Okay, got my Sharpie now. Always a bummer when you forget something once you start recording. Anyways, so I got my Sharpie or whatever pen you have, and just use the back of that. Kind of crush that foam all the way down. It's going to create a nice V-shaped kind of valley for us to fold the wing over with. Okay, let's go over this a few times. It's going to be a bit of a forceful endeavor to fold this over, but that's okay. As long as you have enough space, we'll start to fold it over this way. Okay, so you might think, well, we cracked it up, we're going to fold it over this way. Nope, not going to do that. We're going to fold it over on top. We're not going to glue it yet. We're just going to get the fold ready to go because we will need to put a carbon spar in here in that first line before we fold it over. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of start flexing this over, and it's actually, I mean, pretty easy up to 90 degrees. The harder part will be the second part here, and you kind of use your whole arm, so you're pressing it evenly. Okay, just kind of bit by bit, just pushing it over, just kind of crushing more of that foam. Don't do it all at once. Okay, and see I'm using my whole arm, not just pushing on the middle or something like that, because that'll more easily break it. But I got it almost folded over, and there it's about sitting down on the other side, so I'm going to hold it and press it for a minute here. Okay, you can see it's creating a big kind of folded area here in the middle, and that's fine. What we're going for is what's called a KFM airfoil, or a stepped airfoil. It's a really easy way to make an airfoil. It's not super efficient, but it does work well as an airfoil, and it's really easy to make with foam board. That's why we're doing that. Okay, so if we fold it over like this, what we end up doing is creating a shape like that. Okay, and what happens is the air, as it flows over the wing, I should show you this way, I guess more sense. As it flows over the wing, there's a little swirl of air that happens kind of in this pocket behind the step on top of this part of the wing, and that little swirl pocket of air allows the rest of the air to kind of cruise over just like a boundary layer would on a normal airfoil wing. So it's a really inexpensive and easy way to make an airfoil without having to do all the complex folds and stuff with the foam that would lead to an actual airfoil. KFM airfoils are pretty common on RC planes that are like DIY type flying wings. Like common on those, it's really easy and simple to build. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. It's not going to lay flat until we glue it, of course, but that's looking pretty good. I can press it all the way down pretty easily, and so once we glue it, we should be able to get it to hold very nicely right there. All right, so there's the prep for one wing, and the larger wing will be pretty much the same thing, just bigger scale, right? So you pop the ailerons, okay? You're going to crease this area here down this line. I'm not going to do the whole thing again right now on camera just to save some time, so you don't have to watch it all again, but basically the same idea. You're going to crease that, start folding this over and up until it's able to fold flat just like this one can. Okay. Now don't glue either one of these until you have the carbon rods installed. Okay, so we're going to do one of those now on the smaller wing. Okay, so you have your carbon rod, and it should be just about the same length as those lines that are cut in the wing, maybe a little bit longer. Okay, and that's okay. Nice snug fit. And it's going to be hard to show you because the lines on the paper are not very dark. But basically you can just take the carbon rod itself, remember a flat rod, not a square rod, okay, and just kind of insert it into that channel and then just run it down the channel. Kind of open it up a little bit, open up the channel there, and that will allow us to be able to install the carbon rod here in just a second. I should say carbon spar maybe to differentiate from the rod. Carbon spar. So first we're going to dry fit it in. Okay. Just make sure we're getting everything in there okay, and it should be able to press down fairly well also. It shouldn't like be sticking out of the foam too much. It should be pretty much flush. These are about the width of a piece of, or about the thickness of a piece of foam board. And so if we can get it installed pretty well like so, you can see it's not sticking up very much. Okay, that's good. We just want to press it in and make sure we have that foam kind of pre-crushed or pre-cut with the spar before we install the rod itself. Okay. So at this point, you could either pull the rod out, if you can get it out. A little bit tricky. You can pull the rod out and you can put some glue kind of on top of, there we go. Pull the rod out. Okay, watch your fingers. I might have given myself a splinter there, unfortunately. You can put some glue along here and then press the rod in. Okay. Or you can just press the rod in and put some glue on top of it. Either way should be fine for this application. But you do want to have some scrap foam handy, because once you put the glue on top, you're going to want to kind of wipe that excess glue off of the top of the spar so there's not a big blob of glue along here when we're trying to fold this over. I want it to be nice and flat and flush. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and insert the rod again and then put some glue on top of it. I think actually, no, maybe I'll put a little bit of glue along the line here. Okay, so we're going to go pretty quick. Our hot glue gun's pretty hot. We don't want to use too much glue, so just a little bit. I'm going to fold this down actually. Okay, get the glue flowing here. Come on, hot glue gun. There we go. Okay, just doing a thin bead along here. I can get a job at Flight Test doing videos this good, huh? All right, we're going to take our carbon rod and we're going to slide it back into that groove like it was before. I'm going to push it down into the groove just like it was earlier. Watch your fingers there. And we're going to go ahead and do that. Place it into the groove here. That's actually not working as well as I thought it would. Oh well. All right, we're going to stop